My sister has cancer. Those were the words that shattered my world. Not because of what they meant, but because of who said them and how she said them, with dry eyes, perfect makeup, and not a trace of fear in her voice. It was my fiancée Emily who broke the news to me after getting off the phone with my sister Jenna. She clutched her phone like it had personally attacked her and whispered, "Jenna has stage 3 ovarian cancer. She just found out." I dropped the wedding invitation samples I'd been holding. They fluttered to the floor like dead butterflies. "She's... what?" I asked, my voice already cracking, heart pounding against my ribcage. Emily nodded slowly, tears forming. She doesn't want anyone to worry, but she said, "It's serious." Suddenly, everything. The floral arrangements, the tux fittings, the deposit for the venue, all of it blurred into irrelevance. My sister, my only sibling, the one who tormented me growing up and yet was my first protector in middle school, was dying. Or so I thought. That night, I drove to her apartment. I needed to see her, bring her flowers, hold her, tell her I'd be there for her no matter what. She greeted me in pajamas with a wine glass in hand and a movie paused on her screen. She looked fine. Better than fine, actually. Radiant, skin glowing, hair freshly done. "Hey," she said casually. "Didn't expect you." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, voice trembling. She blinked. "Tell you what?" "The cancer, Jenna." Her lips parted slightly. A pause. And then she nodded slowly like an actress preparing her role. "Oh, that." She shrugged, setting down the wine. "Didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I'm still processing. Just trying to stay positive." A chill crawled down my spine. Something didn't feel right, but I forced myself to smile, to offer support, to tell her I'd do anything to help. That was my first mistake. In the following days, Jenna's treatment was kept mysteriously vague. No hospital visits, no test results shown, no doctor's name offered. Just occasional Instagram stories. Black and white selfies with captions like "Staying Strong #warrior" and cryptic notes about appointments that never seemed to interfere with her nights out. Still, I defended her. To Emily, to my friends, to our parents. "She doesn't owe you proof." I snapped at Emily when she gently questioned how Jenna could afford spa visits during chemo. Everyone copes in their own way. Meanwhile, I was coping in mine, by burning through my wedding fund to help her. It started small. She said her insurance didn't cover certain meds. I paid. She said rent was becoming impossible to keep up with. I transferred $2,000, then $4,000, then $7,000. Every time I hesitated, she'd guilt me. "You think I'm lying about having cancer?" "No, Jenna, God, no. I wouldn't do that to you." But she would. The truth began unraveling in the ugliest way possible. One afternoon, I went to her apartment unannounced. Emily had left her scarf there during a visit. I walked in to find Jenna laughing on a FaceTime call, holding a margarita, barefoot with no IV stand, no signs of fatigue, nothing. She turned when she saw me. Her expression shifted from joy to sheer panic. I held up the scarf. "Just grabbing this?" She nodded stiffly. "Thanks." But what caught my eye was her open planner on the counter, because written in big, bubbly letters across next Thursday's slot was Vegas Girls Trip. No appointments. No chemo. No oncology consult. And next to it, a sticky note that read, "Total from Rob, $31,250. I picked it up. My ears rang. My heart stopped. My name, my money, a check mark. My sister didn't have cancer. She had plans. I left without saying a word. I didn't scream. I didn't demand answers. I didn't cry. I drove straight home, shaking, hands gripping the wheel so hard they hurt. Emily was reading on the couch when I walked in. She looked up. I showed her the sticky note. I told her everything. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she whispered, "You were going to cancel the honeymoon to keep helping her." I nodded. Emily stood and walked over to me, cupping my face in her hands. "We're not letting her get away with this." For the first time since this nightmare started, I smiled. Because in that moment, I realized something. Jenna thought she was playing a game. She had no idea I was about to rewrite the rules. Revenge isn't something you plan in a single night. It's something you curate. While Jenna was posting fake inspirational cancer quotes, I was up late making spreadsheets, timelines, and folders. Digital arsenals of receipts, screenshots, and bank transactions. Emily called it obsessive. I called it the beginning of justice. We weren't going to just expose Jenna. We were going to let her trip over her own lies. It started with a simple idea. Give her a scare, not some jump from the closet prank. No, I'm talking psychological warfare. The kind of scare that would make her question everything around her. Her friends, her memory, her future. I knew she was planning a Vegas trip and I knew where she was staying. She'd casually dropped it into a group chat, assuming no one was paying attention. But I was. So Emily and I made a reservation at the same hotel under a fake name. Claire Richardson. I even used one of those throwaway emails on a prepaid card so nothing could be traced. Then came the alias, Dr. Claire Richardson, Maryland oncology specialist. Jenna wanted to play sick? Cool. Let's see how she handles a real doctor. Vegas was hot, loud, chaotic. Basically, Jenna's natural habitat. She was there with her friends, 3 of them, all equally self-absorbed and fake woke, posting selfies with captions like hash, cure cancer, hash girls trip, hash, healing vibes. I watched from the corner of the pool area in oversized sunglasses, a sun hat, and Emily at my side pretending to be researching her bachelorette options. We weren't there to be seen. We were there to plant seeds. That evening, I slid a note under Jenna's hotel room door. Handwritten, sloppy, enough to look rushed. Jenna, we need to talk. You've been flagged. CR, just initials, no context, but I knew her brain. Jenna had always been paranoid. She once broke up with a guy because he double-tapped her old photo too quickly. She overthought everything. That night, she called our mom panicking. I know because mom called me afterward. She says someone's following her. Something about a letter under her door. Oh wow, I said. Weird. Maybe it's the hotel messing up her room service? I could practically hear mom roll her eyes. She's just stressed from chemo. Sure, mom, from the imaginary chemo. The next morning, I upgraded our plan. I left another note. This time, slipped into her purse during breakfast while she was too busy arguing with a waiter about the syrup being too shiny. Your behavior has been reported. Be honest before someone else is. CR. And then the pièce de résistance. I texted her from an untraceable burner number with a single line. Medical fraud is a felony. Jenna went silent for 5 hours. Not a single Instagram story. No tweets. No poolside brunch posts. For Jenna, that was a meltdown. Emily and I sat in a small cafe nearby, watching as Jenna paced back and forth in front of the hotel's concierge desk. She looked around constantly, jumped every time someone opened a door. She's spiraling, Emily whispered, sipping her coffee. She's not even close to the edge yet, I said. When Jenna finally cracked, it came through a voicemail. She called my real number at 3:19 a.m. Her voice was trembling. For real, this time. Rob, hey, I don't know if you're up, but something weird is happening. I'm being followed, or, I don't know, someone's sending me notes. I think maybe the hospital messed something up. Maybe they flagged my records or something, but I didn't lie, okay? I swear I didn't lie. The kind of guilt you're supposed to feel when you break someone's spirit. I didn't feel that, because she did lie. And now she was getting a taste of the panic she caused me. When I nearly canceled my wedding, when I drained my savings, when I sat up crying thinking she was dying. This was just the beginning. I didn't respond. Instead, I made my next move. I printed out a fake medical compliance notice from a template I found online, something that looked scary enough to be real, with red warning stamps and lots of legal-sounding jargon. Then I had it delivered to her room via hotel staff in an envelope marked confidential to be opened immediately. Inside, the document read, Notice of Audit Patient Hash 456903 Jenna Owens. Per suspicious activity flagged by federal and local databases, your treatment claims are now under review. Any inconsistencies in provided documentation or misrepresentation of diagnosis will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. You are instructed to report to the Medical Review Board within 72 hours. Signed, Dr. Claire Richardson, Maryland Oncology Compliance Division. Jenna didn't come out of her hotel room that day. She canceled the rest of her Vegas plans. Her friends posted vague stories like sending love to our brave girl while sipping mimosas at the spa. We caught our flight back the next morning. I didn't hear from her again until 3 days later, back home, when she showed up unannounced at my apartment, crying. She looked awful, makeup smudged, hair in a greasy ponytail, shirt inside out. I messed up, she whispered, standing in my doorway. Emily watched from the hallway, arms crossed. Come in, I said coolly. Jenna stepped inside, looking like a frightened kid caught in a lie. She dropped onto the couch and covered her face with both hands. I lied about the cancer, okay? I just needed money. I was drowning in credit card debt, and I knew Mom wouldn't help. I stared at her. I didn't say a word. I wanted her to keep going, to admit it all. I never thought you'd give that much. I figured you'd send a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, but then you just kept giving, and I kept taking. I couldn't stop. I felt like I was already too deep. And when you said you were canceling parts of the wedding, I panicked. That's when I tried to stop lying. I just didn't know how to undo it. You could have come clean, Emily said, voice sharp. I was afraid. Afraid of what? I asked. Jenna looked up at me, eyes red. Afraid you'd hate me forever. I looked at her, long and hard. Then I stood up, walked to the counter and pulled a small manila folder from the drawer. Inside, every note, every screenshot, every piece of her fake cancer narrative. Her eyes widened. I knew, I said. I've known for over a week. Jenna's lip quivered. Then why? Because I wanted you to feel what I felt. The fear, the confusion, the helplessness. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'll pay it back, every cent. I raised an eyebrow. With what job? Silence. Then I tossed the burner phone onto the table. You're going to help yourself by coming clean. To everyone. Online, mom, your friends, publicly. What if I don't? I leaned in, lowering my voice. Then I'll forward this folder to your company's ethics board, every influencer you know, and the state medical board just for fun. Jenna, you didn't just steal money. You faked cancer. You weaponized sympathy. That's nuclear-level trash. She gulped. Emily chimed in. Your choice. But the longer you wait, the worse it'll get. That night, Jenna posted a video online. Tearful apology, admitting the truth. Comments flooded in, some supportive, most weren't. She lost friends, a job opportunity, sponsorship deals, even mom stopped speaking to her for a while. But me, I didn't gloat. I just moved forward. With my wedding, my life, and my fiancé, who I now trusted more than anyone in the world. Jenna had taught me something valuable. Some people only learn through consequences, and others learn how to deliver them with precision. Jenna's video didn't just go viral, it detonated. In less than 12 hours, #CancerLiar was trending in 3 different circles. Her yoga influencer community, her old high school alumni group, and, somehow, her former employer's official subreddit. I don't know who dug that up, but they added screenshots of Jenna's post right next to her company's diversity and ethics statement. And by morning, it reached mom. At 7:12 a.m., I got the first call. Robert, you know it's serious when mom uses my full name and sounds like she's either about to cry or buy a taser? Hi, Mom, I said calmly, sipping coffee. I'd been waiting for this. Your sister, what is this? She posted an apology. I saw it. Her voice cracked. Is it true? Every word. A long pause. Then she whispered, why didn't you tell me? That hit harder than I expected. Because I thought you wouldn't believe me. Because for most of my life, you've made excuses for her. I expected pushback, denial, maybe some good old-fashioned gaslighting. Instead, silence. Then she quietly hung up. 2 hours later, Mom drove to our apartment. No warning, she showed up in the same coat she wore to church, buttoned to the top like armor. Emily opened the door. Mom didn't even say hello. She walked straight in, stood in our kitchen and said, You gave her your wedding fund? All of it, I replied. She lied to your face. Multiple times. She shaved her head. Used a wig cap, apparently. Mom sat down heavily at the dining table, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. How did this happen? Where did I go wrong? And just like that, the conversation wasn't about Jenna anymore. It was about Mom. Because for the first time, she had to face the mirror. She'd raised a daughter who believed sympathy was a currency and a son who thought he had to take on everyone's burdens to keep the peace. I ignored the signs, Mom said, voice trembling, even when she was younger. She always had this way. Always crying wolf. Always twisting things. Emily sat beside her. A lot of families ignore it until something explodes. Mom looked at me, eyes glassy. I thought you were just being jealous when you'd complain about her getting more attention. I thought you were exaggerating. I didn't respond. What could I say? This wasn't about punishment. Not anymore. It was about accountability and whether our family could ever recover from the damage Jenna left behind. That week, Jenna went completely silent online. She deleted TikTok, archived all Instagram posts, turned off comments, but the internet doesn't forget, especially when you fake a terminal illness and steal $23,000 from your own brother. The Reddit threads were brutal. One even had side-by-side screenshots comparing her supposed chemo look with her Cabo vacation photos. People zoomed in on drink straws, bracelets, even nail polish, analyzing timestamps like a true crime case. And the thing is, Jenna loved being adored online. So this wasn't just a bruise, it was ego death. 3 days later, Jenna texted me. Jenna, can we meet? I ignored it. She texted again. Jenna, I'm not asking for money, I just want to talk. I stared at the message for a while before replying, Me, Emily and I are going to Dad's cabin this weekend. You can come if you're ready to face the truth. Jenna, Dad's old lake cabin was 3 hours away, tucked into a quiet patch of pine and fog. It hadn't been used since his funeral 2 years ago, which made it perfect. Neutral ground, far from Wi-Fi, fans, or cameras. When Jenna arrived, she was different. Quieter. Not in a performative, I've learned my lesson way, but raw. Her hair was tied back. No makeup, just a hoodie and sneakers. I brought something, she said, holding out an envelope. It was a cashier's check, $5,000. I sold the car. That stunned me. Her car was her identity. Cherry red, leather seats, always clean enough to do eyeliner in the reflection. You didn't have to, I started. Yes, I did, she cut me off. You think this is just about the money, but it's not. I've spent years taking and manipulating. I need to stop before I forget how to be human. Emily stepped out to give us space. Jenna sat across from me, watching the lake. Do you know what the worst part is? That you faked cancer? No. She exhaled shakily. That I did it to you. You were always the one person who never made fun of me. Never hit back when I lashed out. You kept showing up, even when I didn't deserve it. I didn't know what to say. My sister, the person who made my childhood miserable, the person who stole from me, who lied about dying, was finally acting like the human being buried under all that ego and rot. I'm getting help, she said. Therapy and real work. No more sponsored flat tummy teas or pity videos. Good, I said quietly. We sat in silence for a while, just listening to the lake. And in that moment, I felt it. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the seed of it. A start. We left the cabin the next morning with fewer bags and lighter hearts. I didn't know if Jenna would keep her promises, but I knew I'd done what I needed to. Not just for revenge, but for closure. Sometimes, justice isn't about watching someone fall. It's about helping them see exactly where they tripped. You'd think after all that drama, Emily and I would have sworn off weddings entirely, eloped, hit Vegas ourselves maybe. But we didn't. Because, as Emily put it, we're not letting your sister's train wreck turn our day into collateral damage. We pressed on. New venue, scaled down guest list, cheaper menu, and a fresh budget scraped together from savings, side gigs, and a very generous last-minute favor from Emily's aunt, who happened to own a boutique winery in Oregon. It was going to be beautiful, but of course it couldn't stay simple for long. 2 weeks before the big day, Emily got a DM request on Instagram from a name she didn't recognize. @CancerRecoverySister. She opened it and immediately called me over. The message read, "Hi, Emily. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I've started something I think you should see. I'm not asking for money or forgiveness, just a few minutes of your time. Jay." There was a link to a YouTube channel. And sure enough, it was her, Jenna. Except this time, there was no fake crying, no pity plays, no cheesy soft piano music. Just a barefaced, calm Jenna sitting in a plain room with a small whiteboard behind her. The video was titled, "How I Faked Cancer, a Full Confession." She started by acknowledging the elephant in the room. I lied. I lied about having cancer. I took money I didn't deserve. And I manipulated people who trusted me, including my brother, who gave up his wedding savings for me. There's no excuse, but I want to explain, not to justify, but to take responsibility out loud for what I did. For the next 18 minutes, Jenna broke down everything. How it started as a lie to buy time from debt collectors. How sympathy from people gave her a high she couldn't explain. How the lie snowballed faster than she expected. And how she spiraled into panic when I started asking questions. She ended with this: "If you've ever lied to survive, don't. Tell the truth before it eats you alive. This video isn't monetized. I'm not here to come back. I'm here to start over." It was raw, surprisingly articulate. And honestly, it went viral. The comments section blew up with mixed emotions. Wow, I've never seen someone actually own up to this. Respect. You're still trash, but at least you're self-aware now. This is why trust is dead. Thanks a lot. Wait, is this the same Jenna who used to do haul videos? By the end of the first day, it had 300K views. Jenna didn't respond to any of it. No follow-ups, no second video. Just the one confession, pinned comment, and silence. Emily turned to me and said, "Well, that's one way to RSVP to a wedding." Despite the chaos, the wedding approached like a slow, golden sunrise. Emily was radiant in her dress. I stood next to my best friend, finally about to marry the person who stuck by me through everything. And for once, our families, even mom, were quiet. No drama, no interruptions. Except one. Jenna showed up, not in disguise, not late, not loud, just there. In the back, in a black dress, hands folded. She didn't ask for a seat up front. She didn't wave. She didn't even bring a +1. When our eyes met, she mouthed, "You look happy." I nodded. That was enough. After the ceremony, she approached Emily, politely, and said, "I wasn't going to come, but I needed to see the life I almost ruined." Emily looked at her for a long time before replying. "You didn't ruin it. You gave us a reason to protect it even harder." They hugged. It wasn't warm or weepy, just human. Honest. Then Jenna handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. 2 pages. No money. Just words. This won't fix things, but maybe it'll help build something new someday. Until then, I'll keep working on me, Jay. I never told her this, but that letter meant more than the check. Because for the first time in her life, Jenna wasn't performing. She was showing up as a real person, flawed, scared, and trying. Later that night, as Emily and I danced under string lights and vineyard stars, she leaned in and whispered, "Think she's actually changed?" I watched Jenna from a distance, sitting alone with a soda, smiling quietly as people passed. "Maybe not yet," I said, "but she's finally looking in the right direction." Jenna's video wasn't supposed to be a comeback. She said it herself in the description. This isn't a relaunch, it's closure. But the internet doesn't work that way. It's not a machine of fairness. It's a spotlight monster that feeds on confession, spectacle, and, most of all, redemption arcs. And Jenna? She was suddenly the lead actress in one. 2 weeks after the wedding, I got a call from a journalist. He claimed he was doing a feature for a lifestyle site about accountability culture and wanted to know if I'd comment on Jenna's video. I declined, politely. 3 days later, the article dropped anyway. Influencer who faked cancer returns with shocking honesty, but is it real? Jenna's video had reached 2.4 million views. She was getting DMs from mental health podcasters, recovery groups, even a major YouTube commentary channel who asked if she'd be willing to do a live interview. And as much as I didn't want to care, I did, because I knew her. I knew what attention did to Jenna, and it terrified me. Emily noticed it first. She was scrolling one evening when she turned her screen to me. "Is this what I think it is?" It was a video, newly posted, by Jenna. Title, "The Lie That Almost Ended Me." Part 2. Part 2, I muttered. What the hell happened to no comeback? We watched together. This time, Jenna looked polished. Not glam, not fake, but prepared, scripted. Her room was well lit. Camera steady. No tears, just clear, confident delivery. She talked about the fallout, therapy, the hate she got, and how owning your lies is the first step to becoming your real self. The video ended with a soft fade and her new tagline, "From fake to fearless, let's grow together." "Tell me, that doesn't sound like a brand," Emily said. I didn't reply, because it was. She was pivoting, from villain to inspiration. And honestly, it was working. Over the next month, Jenna posted regularly. Weekly videos, no ads, just stories, reflections, interviews with counselors, and people were eating it up. Comment sections were flooded with praise. I wish more influencers had this kind of self-awareness. "You're helping me come clean about my own mess. This is what healing looks like." She even hosted a live stream Kwanda where she answered questions like, Q, "Did you return the money?" A, "Yes, every cent and more. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for it." Q, "Was your brother angry?" A, "He had every right to be. He lost trust in me. I deserve that. But he gave me a second chance." Q, "Are you trying to be famous again?" A, laughs. "No, I'm just trying to be real for the first time." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something felt too smooth. I knew how much Jenna loved a good narrative, and this time she'd found the perfect one. Rock bottom to rebirth. I stayed silent, watched from afar, let her do her thing, until she called me one night. "Hey," she said, sounding breathless. "Got a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "You're not going to believe this. I got an offer." I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "A book deal." She was giddy, like kid on Christmas. "A publishing company saw the video series. They want me to write a memoir about the lie, the fallout, the lessons. The working title is Borrowed Time." "Isn't that insane?" I bit my tongue. Hard. "That's fast," I said. I know, but it's a way to do more good. I'll donate part of the profits, maybe all of it. This could be big." She was spiraling again. This wasn't about redemption anymore. It was about reinvention, monetization, spotlight. I could hear it in her voice, the way she lingered on platform, the way she said, "I never imagined I'd be this visible again." I knew this slope. She'd been here before. Only this time, the lie she was riding wasn't about cancer. It was about how recovered she truly was. Later that night, I told Emily, "She's going to relapse," I said quietly. "Not into drugs or drinking, into attention." Emily looked conflicted. "Do we stop her?" "I don't know how. She's not lying anymore, but she's still addicted, just to a different kind of high." "You think she's faking her recovery?" I shook my head. No, I think she believes it, which might be worse. The next morning, I got an email from a podcast producer who'd seen Jenna's content and wanted my side of the story. He offered me a chance to share what it was like to be the victim in this redemption arc. Emily urged me to ignore it, but part of me wondered, was I just letting her control the narrative again? That night, I opened a blank Google Doc. At the top, I typed, "My sister faked cancer, now she's famous for it." And below that, "This is the part of the story she's not telling you." I didn't know if I'd publish it, but for the first time since this all began, it felt like I had my own voice again. The article wasn't supposed to blow up. I didn't even publish it on a major site. Just a long-form post on Medium titled, "My sister faked cancer and got famous for it. Here's the truth she left out." I shared it anonymously. No names, no direct links, no photos, just a story from my point of view. The betrayal, the manipulation, the aftermath, and most importantly, the recovery that felt scripted. Within 48 hours, it had 200,000 views. Someone on Reddit connected the dots almost immediately. "Is this about Jenna Owens? Sounds a lot like her. U/Detective Dan 234. And just like that, the narrative started shifting. Emily saw it first. She was making coffee when she glanced at her phone and muttered, "Oh boy." I turned to see her screen. A Twitter thread, already pushing 50k likes. I loved Jenna's comeback arc until I read this anonymous piece. Now I feel like she's doing redemption cosplay. You can own a lie and still build a new one on top of it. Don't be fooled. Is public accountability just influencer PR now? Jenna hadn't responded yet, but she saw it. I knew she did. Because she texted me at 2:04 a.m. "Jenna, did you write this?" I waited. I didn't owe her a response, but I gave her one anyway. Me. Yes. The next day, she called. "I told my truth," she said, her voice sharp, almost accusatory. "Why would you try to sabotage that?" "I didn't sabotage anything," I said calmly. "I just told mine. You could have come to me. You already owned the part where you lied about cancer, but you left out the part where you nearly wrecked an entire family, where you built a career on being a victim when you were the villain. That truth matters too." She didn't say anything for a long time. I could hear her breathing hard, like she was trying not to scream. "This wasn't about hurting you," I added. "It was about balancing the story." Her voice broke then. "You have no idea how hard I've worked to fix myself." "I know exactly how hard. But healing isn't just about optics, it's about honesty. And you've been curating your pain like it's a content calendar." The fallout came fast. Her next video, titled "When Your Family Doesn't Support You," was her most emotional yet. She didn't name me directly, but she didn't have to. She sat on camera, teary-eyed, reading quotes from the article, saying things like, "I never claimed to be perfect, but some people would rather I stay broken forever than try to get better. Yes, I lied. Yes, I hurt people. But do I not deserve a second chance?" The comments split in half. "You've done the work. Haters gonna hate. Sounds like your brother's jealous you bounced back faster than he expected. Red flags. All of this. Emotional manipulation 2.0. And then came the bomb. An ex-friend of Jenna's, someone from her influencer circle, posted a TikTok. It started calmly enough, but then she dropped the hammer. "Jenna and I used to be close, but in 2022, before the cancer lie, she faked a GoFundMe for an eviction she never faced. She told us she was homeless, even stayed at my place for a week rent-free, then ghosted me. This isn't her first I'm suffering hustle, she just got better at packaging it." The video went viral in hours. Suddenly, Jenna wasn't a redemption story. She was a pattern. I didn't celebrate. There's no joy in watching your sister unravel, even when she deserves it. Mom called that night. She didn't yell, she didn't cry. She just asked one question. "Was there any part of her apology you believed?" I had to think about it. "Yes," I said finally. "The part where she said she was scared. That felt real. Because even now, I don't think Jenna is evil. I think she's addicted to being the center of something. Anything. Pity, praise, applause, outrage. She doesn't care what direction it comes from, as long as it's facing her." Days passed. Her sponsors vanished. Her video comments got locked. She posted one final message before going dark. "I wanted to change. I really did. But I guess some people will always see me as a fraud. So I'm stepping back, maybe forever." It sounded like closure. But with Jenna, closure always came with an ellipsis. Then, just when the dust started to settle, we got a knock on the door. Emily opened it, expecting a delivery. Instead, standing there was a woman in her early 30s with a notepad and a camera bag. "Hi," she said with a warm smile. "I'm doing a documentary series on digital redemption. One of your names came up. A lot." Emily blinked. "Who sent you?" "Jenna Owens," the woman said. "She said if I really want the whole story, I should talk to her brother." I stood behind Emily, arms crossed. "She said that?" I asked. word for word. I didn't say yes right away. When the filmmaker, her name was Lila, stood in our entryway asking for an interview, my gut instinct screamed, trap. It felt like something Jenna orchestrated, a new version of damage control disguised as journalistic transparency. But Lila seemed different. She was soft-spoken, but firm. Not interested in drama, but in context. I'm not here to help or hurt Jenna, she said as she unpacked her camera gear in our living room. I'm here to explore what happens when someone breaks trust publicly, and what healing looks like on both sides. I almost laughed at that. Healing? I wasn't sure we were there yet. Maybe never. But I agreed. Not for Jenna. For myself, because I'd kept my side quiet for too long. The interview took 4 hours. Lila asked everything. Gently, but thoroughly. What was my relationship like with Jenna growing up? When did I first feel she crossed a line? How did it feel watching her raise money that was meant for my wedding? The question that hit me hardest was the simplest. What do you want from her now? I sat there, quiet, the camera humming softly. I don't want revenge, I said. I just want her to stop curating pain for applause. I want her to tell the truth. Not the marketable version, not the rebranded one, just the real thing. Lila nodded, but said nothing. She packed up, thanked me, and said she'd be interviewing Jenna next. She said she's ready to tell everything, Lila added, pausing at the door. But only if you did first. I thought it was over. But a week later, I got a call. Hi, Rob. Lila again. We're finishing edits. There's something I think you should see. She sent a private Vimeo link. It was titled The Redemption Lie. It opened with Jenna. No makeup, no filters, sitting alone in a white room. My name is Jenna Owens, she began. And for the last 3 years, I've been lying for attention. Not just once, not just about cancer, but over and over in different costumes for different audiences. I leaned in, stunned. She listed it all. The fake eviction, the staged breakdown videos, the lost brand deal, stories that were actually just expired contracts. She even talked about the wedding fund. I knew it was wrong. I knew Rob would hate me. But I told myself, if I can make it big, I'll pay it all back. I just have to get through this one lie. But then it was another and another, until I started believing the version of me I built online was the real one. I paused the video. Not because I was angry, but because for the first time I believed her. This wasn't redemption. It was reckoning. Lila included clips from my interview too, but she didn't villainize either of us. She let the story breathe. Messy, complicated, raw. The final scene, Jenna sitting across from me at a park bench, that part hadn't happened yet. I called Lila. Did you stage an ending that doesn't exist? She sighed. No, we haven't filmed that scene, but she asked for it. She said she'd only do the documentary if she could face you, one last time, on camera. I didn't know how to feel about that. Part of me wanted to say no. She didn't deserve a final bow. But another part, the one that still remembered late night cereal runs, shared music playlists, and whispered childhood secrets, wanted to see who she really was when the mask came off. I agreed. We met at Green Lake Park, our old teenage hangout spot. The crew stayed back, cameras zoomed from a distance. No mics, no scripts, just me and her. She looked smaller, not physically, but emotionally, like someone who had been carved down to their most basic self. I'm sorry, she said before I could speak. Not a performance, not for show. Her eyes didn't shift to the cameras once. I lied about the cancer, she said. Then I lied about the apology. Then I tried to lie about being fixed. I think I'm just scared of being boring. You're not boring, I said quietly. You're broken, but so am I. She looked up at me. Do you hate me? I thought about it. No, I mourn you. That broke her. She cried. Not influencer tears. Real ones. Quiet. Shaky. Like she finally understood the cost of being the villain in her own story. We talked for hours. Not to fix things, but to feel them. And when we stood up to leave, I didn't hug her. But I didn't walk away angry either. Lila sent the final cut a month later. The Redemption Lie hit 12 million views in its first week. The internet didn't know what to do with it. Some praised her for her honesty. Some said it was just another performance. Some, shockingly, thanked me for giving her a mirror instead of a stage. But the best comment was this. This isn't a comeback story, it's an unbecoming one. And maybe that's what growth really looks like. Jenna disappeared after that. Deleted her socials, moved to a small town. Last I heard, she was waitressing and going to therapy. No brand deals, no speaking tours, no reinventions. Just life. And me? I finally married Emily. Small ceremony, just 40 people. No Instagram invites, no influencers. Jenna didn't come, but she sent a card. For once, this moment is truly yours. And I hope it's everything my lies tried to steal. I'm still learning how to be real, but I'm rooting for you from here, Jay. I stood there with the card in my hand, unsure how to feel. But maybe that's okay. Not every story needs a clean ending, just an honest one. A month after the documentary aired, I got a knock on my door. It was a courier, no logo, no ID, just a plain manila envelope and a clipboard. For Robert Owens, he said. I signed, shut the door, and stared at it. No return address, just my name, scrawled in a familiar cursive I hadn't seen since high school. Jenna. Inside was a leather-bound journal, the kind she used to scribble song lyrics and sketch silly cartoons in during our teen years. But this wasn't for doodles. The first page simply read, "If I vanish, let this speak for me." And I swear to God, I felt a chill run through my spine. The entries were dated starting 3 years ago, right around when her social media presence exploded, April 19th, 2026. Today, I told my audience I couldn't pay rent. I could. I just wanted them to engage again. Likes were down. My brand manager warned me about my visibility slippage, whatever that means. But it worked. Donations came in. Brands noticed. I hated myself for it, but I also felt powerful. There were dozens like it. Confessions, self-interrogations, moral gymnastics written in messy blue ink. Sometimes there were tear stains on the pages. August 2nd, 2026. I said I had cancer. It started as a joke in a group chat, a throwaway line, but then people responded with so much love, I couldn't stop. I shaved my head, wore pale foundation, Googled symptoms. I buried the guilt under fake gratitude. Rob's wedding fund came in right when I needed it most. I told myself I'll pay him back, but deep down, I knew I wouldn't. Not then. She'd written about Emily too. The guilt over hijacking our engagement. The envy that I had someone stable, someone who didn't need to perform love in front of a camera. She even included screenshots, printed and taped in of DMs she never sent me. Apologies, drafts, half-written texts that always ended with, "You'll never believe me anyway." One entry stopped me cold. December 17th, 2026. He doesn't know about the miscarriage, about the night I almost overdosed, about the night I called mom and hung up because I didn't know how to be a daughter again. Everyone thinks I lie for clout, but sometimes I lied because the truth was worse. I reread that one 5 times. Miscarriage? She'd never said anything. Not to me, not online, not even during the documentary. It explained something. The emotional collapse, the spiral, the sudden push to create a survivor narrative out of thin air. Maybe it wasn't about fame. Maybe it was about control, clinging to a script when real life felt unbearable. The final entry was dated just days before the documentary aired. March 12th, 2026. Lila asked what redemption looks like. I said, quiet. I don't want a platform anymore. I don't want followers. I want silence. I want a job that doesn't care how many views I get. I want my brother to look at me and not flinch if he reads this. If he forgives me, I'll know I became someone worth knowing. I sat with the journal for hours, not sure whether to burn it or frame it. Eventually, I did neither. I drove to mom's house, asked for the old fireproof lockbox dad used to keep passports in, and slid the journal inside. I didn't want to share it. Not with the internet. Not with Lila. Not even with Emily. Because for the first time, Jenna had been truly honest. And it wasn't for content. It was for me. That night, I called Jenna's old number. It rang once. Then went straight to voicemail. "Hey, it's Rob. I got your journal. I read it, and I believe you. Maybe for the first time. I don't know what your next chapter is, but if you ever write it without filters, I'll read every page." I hung up. No need to wait for a reply. Weeks passed. The noise died down. The Redemption Lie was nominated for a few indie film awards. Lila called to say thank you. Emily and I honeymooned in Greece. No phones, no posts, just ocean and quiet laughter. And one day, as we sat watching the sunset, Emily leaned over and said, "I'm glad you didn't become like her." And for once, I didn't feel the need to defend my sister, because I knew now. She hadn't wanted to become like her either. She just lost herself trying to matter. 3 weeks after Greece, I was finally slipping back into something that resembled normal life. Waking up without dread, planning dinners with Emily, ignoring tabloid headlines. I even started looking at venues again, thinking maybe, just maybe, we could give that wedding another go, this time without emotional arson. Then I got the call. "Mr. Owens," the voice on the other end said, calm and clipped. "This is Marjorie Klein, legal representative of Jenna Owens. I'm calling regarding a private clause in her living will. We need you to come in, alone." I froze. "Living will?" I asked. "Jenna's alive." "Yes, the woman replied, but she drafted it during what she referred to as a period of psychological decluttering. Her words, not mine. The office was tucked between a vegan bakery and a boutique funeral home. Of course, Jenna never did anything without poetic irony. Inside, the decor was sterile, steel shelves, a single clock ticking far too loudly, and one neatly dressed woman behind a desk littered with file folders and peppermint wrappers. "Mr. Owens," she greeted. "This will only take 20 minutes, but I recommend you stay seated." That didn't sound good. She pulled out a thick manila folder, tapped the edge, and flipped it open. "Your sister left this instruction. Deliver this folder to Rob only if he completes the following 3 conditions. 1. Watches a documentary all the way through. 2. Doesn't punch the director in the face. 3. Doesn't leak my journal." I blinked. "Wait, you knew about the journal?" "Page 46, she said without missing a beat. She made us photocopy it as backup. She said, and I quote, 'If Rob's petty, make him read it twice.'" I cracked a smile despite myself. "Oh," I said. "What's in the folder?" Marjorie slid it toward me. It was heavier than expected. Inside were 5 things. A check for $37,452, the exact amount from my wedding fund she drained. A signed apology letter, the rights to her name, image, and likeness. A USB drive labeled Unpublished Truths. A 1-line note. "If I ever disappear, tell the truth, but tell all of it." The letter was dated 8 months before she faked her cancer. "Rob, by the time you read this, I'll have probably done something unforgivable. I'll probably lie, probably make it worse, probably ruin something beautiful in your life just because I didn't know how to save my own. But before all that, I wanted to write this one moment while I was still sane. Still me, still your sister, the version who stayed up to help you write college essays and broke into Dad's liquor cabinet when Emily dumped you the first time. I know what I'm about to do is wrong, I just don't know how to stop. Please don't let the story end where I mess up. I want you to know the whole arc, even the pathetic, painful human parts. Love, Jay." When I got home, I plugged in the USB. Inside, hours of voice memos, video diaries, confessions never posted, raw footage of her breaking down between takes, vomiting from anxiety, crying on her bathroom floor. And one video, 38 minutes long, labeled, "The Truth I Never Performed." She sat in front of the camera with no makeup, no lighting, no ring light reflections in her eyes. Just a girl with stringy hair and haunted eyes. "I faked cancer," she said. "But I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was trying to punish myself. Every lie was a scar I carved deeper, thinking if I made myself monstrous, I could finally stop pretending to be perfect." She went on to explain every step of the con, how she studied oncology blogs, how she faked prescriptions, how she manipulated donation flows through Venmo aliases. She didn't justify it. She owned it. "Don't forgive me because I'm crying," she said. "Forgive me if you think broken people can heal, and if you don't believe that, then maybe I deserve to be forgotten." I didn't know what to do with it. Part of me wanted to upload it, to finally let the world see all of her, not just the curated wreckage, but I remembered her note. If I ever disappear, and that's when it hit me. She was disappearing. Not physically, there were still occasional Jenna sightings online, a blurry photo in Berlin, a comment left on a poetry account under the name Moon Fugitive 92. Nothing confirmed, but she was slipping out of public view, dismantling the persona she'd built like a fortress of mirrors. She was erasing herself, piece by piece, and she wanted me to be the last one to remember her honestly, not glamorized, not demonized, just Jenna. That night, I sat with Emily, holding the check in one hand and the USB in the other. "What are you going to do?" she asked gently. "I don't know," I said. "But for once, I think I'm okay not posting about it." She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we watched the sun rise in silence. It had been a month since I received the folder, since I read her letter, watched her video, and held every piece of Jenna's truth in my hands. And for 30 days, I did nothing. No Reddit post. No Instagram story. No expose video or press conference. Not because I was scared, but because I needed to sit with it, really sit with it, and ask myself what telling the truth actually meant. Not the version that makes you look like the bigger person. Not the version that earns applause. The real truth, the messy one, the one that doesn't resolve into neat justice or poetic irony. Because here's the part no one talks about. Revenge might feel righteous in the beginning, but once it burns out, all that's left is ash in your mouth. Emily and I were finally planning a small wedding again. Just close friends. No spectacle, no live stream. The night before we booked the venue, I got a message. It was from an anonymous protomail account. Subject line, "You waited. Thank you." There was no body, just an attachment, a single photo. It was Jenna. Short hair, natural color, smiling. She was standing in front of what looked like a community art center. The wall behind her was painted with a mural of hands reaching out of flames, and in her hand, she held a paintbrush. That was when I knew she was alive, not just biologically, but truly alive, for the first time in years. She wasn't chasing fame. She wasn't hiding behind illness. She wasn't clawing for validation. She was healing, and that meant I could finally stop trying to punish her, but that didn't mean forgetting. A few days later, I published something, not a revenge post, not a rant, but something different. It was a Medium article titled, "My sister faked cancer and stole my wedding fund. But this isn't a story about her, it's about what I did after." I detailed everything. The betrayal, the fallout, the fake funeral, the documentary, the trip to Greece, the USB. And then I ended it with this. We want villains to stay villains because it makes the story easier to tell. But I think we lose something that way. Sometimes people fall so far off course that they start destroying the very things they once loved, like family or self-worth. That doesn't excuse them. It doesn't redeem them. But maybe it explains them. And sometimes, when you stop chasing revenge, you get something better. Peace. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind where you can sleep without a grudge under your pillow. I didn't post her video, didn't include the USB or her journal. That was never mine to share. Instead, I wrote the version that left space for pain and space for hope. A week later, I checked my inbox again. No reply. No confirmation she read it. Just a donation receipt from an anonymous donor. $37,452 to a domestic violence recovery nonprofit in Jenna's hometown. The note read, "For people who need a second chance to rewrite their story." Our wedding was beautiful. No white doves, no grand speeches, just the people who mattered and the quiet assurance that life doesn't have to go viral to be meaningful. During the reception, my mom pulled me aside. "I was wrong," she said. "About you. About her." I didn't say anything. She handed me a small box. Inside was a photo of Jenna and me as kids, covered in marker, glitter, and stickers. One of her early masterpieces. On the back, in her handwriting, it read, "We were messy, but we were magic." I don't know where she is now. Sometimes I think I catch glimpses, an art exhibit that feels too raw, too her, a poem on Tumblr that sounds like her voice. But I don't need to find her anymore. I forgave her, not because she earned it, but because I deserve peace. And when I walk into my new life with Emily, when I think about who I want to be as a husband, maybe one day a father, it won't be the man who needed revenge. It'll be the man who survived betrayal, faced the storm, and walked out holding nothing but the truth. Let the record show. My sister faked cancer. She stole my wedding fund. She lied to the world and broke our family. But she also taught me that people are more than their worst choices. And that sometimes, healing doesn't come with a big apology. Sometimes it just starts when you stop expecting one. The end.